This morning on BRN, part two of our conversation, were there warning signs when you visited your aging parents? We're going to welcome back to the program Kim and Mike Barnes of Parenting Aging Parents. Kim, Mike, great to see you. Thanks for joining us again this morning.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, thank you.
Kim, let's start with you. So yesterday's segment, we talked about, kind of the signs, the warning signs. And I think you have to, there's that communication element that Michael talked about. You have to work as a team to identify the issues. Once you identify the issues, what's the first step? I mean, what do you do, especially if you've never been through this before?
I think for depending on your situation and your family dynamics, one of it could be talking to your siblings or talking to your other parent to see if, am I seeing something that's not there, or are other people seeing it too? So that starts the conversation. I think it can also be even asking your parent, hey, how are things going? How do you feel like you're doing? So that it's not being a, hey, mom, you're not walking very well. What's the problem? Which I might have been guilty of a time or two. So don't take several times.
Lots of times.
Because sometimes it's just having to stop and think before you speak, because it just, sometimes you just might say, Mom, what's wrong? You look a little wobbly. Hey, how do you think you're doing? So that you can kind of get a sense from them how they're going to respond, because I think that's a huge indication of whether they're aware, whether they're in denial, or if they really aren't noticing it.
Yeah. But what can you do to set themselves up for success? Because you don't want to set them up for failure. It's like anything that we do. We don't want to give them, for us, when we were younger, they're our parents and they're, helping us get a car or something like that. They don't want to give us a hot rod if we're terrible drivers. You want something slow and safe. Well, it's the same thing here. You want to be as safe as you can, whether it's picking up the rugs that are on the floor because they're shuffling their feet, so you don't want to trip on a rug, or it's something because they're terrible with numbers now and they don't even remember how much money they have or how much something costs. Okay, let's take the checkbook away. Things like that, they just keep you from getting into those dark areas where things can go wrong.
And, go ahead, Kim.
Well, it's so much of it is balancing that safety as well as their independence and their dignity, because they have always been the parent, and now we're trying to step in sometimes and take over responsibilities, or sometimes telling them a little bit of what to do or what we think they should do. And it's trying to balance that.
But part of that, I think, has to do with personality, not only your personality, but their personality. Because some people are more than willing to say, oh, please, yes, help me. Help me. That would be great. Son, daughter, thank you. Help me, help me, help me. Some people are like, no, you stay away. I'm fine. Nothing's wrong with me. My mom would say, she wouldn't be that mean about it most of the time, but she'd say, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. It's like, oh, okay, Mom. So, we won't bring it up. But, if you said something the wrong way about her, about, Mom, you're not remembering things. Yes, I am. I'm fine. Okay, then we won't be as direct or aggressive with helping you, so that it's that apparent. But we'll figure out ways to subtly help you so that you're safe, but it's not as apparent to you.
How do you know when to go to a doctor? Let's just say that there's a hip issue or a gait issue. How do you know when to bring the doctor in? Because especially, as Michael was saying, Kim, if you've got some adamant, I'm going to call it, spirited conversation with the loved one, they may say, I'm fine, I don't need that doctor. But you notice something. You've had conversations with the siblings, your other family members. There's deniability on the part of the parent. But when do you bring the doctor in and say, hey, we got to go see the doc?
I think it can depend on, in some ways, their relationship with going to the doctor. If they're used to having a regular checkup every year because their insurance requires it, sometimes you can use that your insurance wants you to do, they require you to do a once a year checkup or something like that, where that way, if you are with, hopefully probably the doctor who knows them best, the primary care doctor, or, if there is another doctor involved, but then it becomes just more part of their checkup. There are ways that you can potentially send a note to the doctor ahead of time to express your concerns. You have to be a little careful because we do hear stories occasionally where the doctor will say, well, your kids told me, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, that really is not very helpful. But most of the time, many doctors are willing to sort of take that upon advisement, if you will. And having that information just helps them be able to ask better questions and or watch for things during that appointment. When you come in for a quick appointment for, 15, 20 minutes, likely with your doctor, they aren't going to be able to notice everything. Usually
Well,
people
not the cognitive stuff,
right,
especially.
right, because we all put on our best behavior. We put on our best behavior, whether it's the way we look, the way we're talking, to be able to cover for ourselves in most situations.
Yeah.
But giving the doctor a heads up can be helpful for them being able to be more aware of, okay, I'm looking at things a little differently, perhaps.
Yeah, I went to quite a few doctor checkups with my mom and dad over the last 10 years. And before my mom went into memory care, the doctor would say, it was a female doctor, would say, Jane, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. Doing this and doing this, still
Reading books.
reading books and working the crossword every morning. It's like, God damn
And
it.
we're
Yeah. And Mike, let's talk about the finances, because I think you assumed the role of for your father, and your dad was really good with numbers. I seen you were
Oh,
calling
no,
out.
no,
No,
no.
no, no. My dad is an accountant, former accountant, and he still's in control of his finances.
That
And
Got
when
it.
I try to
Okay.
take him away,
That's
it's going to be a
good.
little dicey.
Yeah.
Kim is the one who
Okay.
takes away finances. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. So, and I don't want to make it about you, but so forget your dad for a second. How do you know, and what do you do if you have to step in? I don't want to make it about, especially if your dad watches the program. I don't want him to know that you're coming. And he just celebrated
That's
his
okay.
82nd
87. I
birthday.
kid him all the time. I say, you're selfish and stubborn, and someday we're going to have to take the keys away, and someday we're going to have to take the finances away. You realize that, don't you? Oh, I know, son. Yeah, I'm okay though, I think. It's like, yeah, okay, Dad.
Today.
But
Yeah.
again, you have to look at how it's affecting them and how it's affecting you, about when you need to start controlling things, taking the keys away for driving, or taking the finances away because they're getting scammed, or they're making mistakes or forgetting to pay their bills. You just have to realize, okay, they're not doing it. It's not that they're not doing it the right way, because they may be doing it fine for what they need to do, but are they messing up or getting themselves into trouble or getting their finances into trouble? Or is it something where, again, you need to step in? Just like when we were having little kids who were, 4, 5, 7 years old. And okay, when do you need to step in and do something for them? And when do you let them, well, go ahead and learn a little
Scrape
bit?
their knee, right.
Yeah. Because
And
sometimes it's going to be okay. It's something that's that minor. It's okay. But when it gets bigger and bigger, you have to step in. It's the same thing with our parents.
Yeah.
yeah, and what about privacy and scams? I mean, there is our older family members are really ripe for attack from some of these people that are bad actors.
It is
countries.
awful,
Well,
awful,
well,
awful.
well, part of it doesn't have to do with the fact that they're going downhill, so to speak. It's because they're old and they're not used to this generation yet. I mean, yes, computers have been around for 40 years for home computers, but they didn't grow up with them like so many of us did, and our kids really have, with iPhones and iPads and that type of thing. My dad made the unfortunate thing of clicking on something on his computer.
Well, a pop-up showed
a
up.
pop-up. Well, I've always told him, don't click on anything. Don't click on anything. He accidentally clicked on something, and then a pop-up came up that said his computer was damaged, and you need to call this number. He called the number before he called me. And the people on the line had him do some things, and we were so lucky, thank goodness, that he had the malware stuff on there and the antivirus, that they weren't able to get in. But it was close. He almost lost everything, and it's because he just didn't think and just clicked on the wrong thing. And that's something that we're kind of used to because we've grown up in it. But think about someone who's 87. Computers back in the 40s, 50s, 60s? No. So they're not used to that still, because that's not what they grew up with.
But I will tell you that they're getting so sophisticated that there are text messages that I get,
Oh,
from
sure.
FedEx or whatever, that's, that there's a lot of phishing out there that's going on that it makes us have to look twice at. And you can only imagine if we're thinking, oh, that's weird, huh? And actually having to process and think whether it's valid or not, we can only imagine how difficult it is for our parents. And it is, I mean, there is a special place for the people who prey on our elderly people. It is awful. We heard a case recently where of somebody in our community whose parent was like over the phone, and they came and picked up the money in
In
person,
person.
which you just think, oh my gosh, they're getting, many of the scammers are getting very just I don't know,
Brazen.
brave,
It's
Yeah,
brazen. Yeah,
exactly.
brazen. I
Yeah.
mean, just where they will come and pick it up, and there's all kinds of different scams, romance scams, and your kid's
Yeah.
in jail, or my mom fell prey to can you buy me some gift cards because we're in an unfortunate situation and we're not able to go, but we can give you the money, but we just can't go buy the gift cards. One of those that when you start thinking about logically just sounds ludicrous, but at the time they're so convincing.
Yeah.
And that was the impetus for us saying, okay, no more online access to your bank account, because that way, in case somebody accidentally gets access to your computer, they can't get to anything because you don't have online access to your banking information anymore. And we took the checkbook away because we just and even when she would get upset about it, we would just say, I know you don't want people stealing from you. And she would say, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. And so it can be a tough transition, but it's so much of how do you balance I'm really trying to protect you, and so that you don't lose, you're not having money stolen from you that you likely will need to care for you, versus, can they manage it themselves? Yeah.
But again, it's so similar to having kids. When you have teenagers and they want their independence, they want to be dropped off somewhere and they don't see parents anymore, and you want to show up and pick them up and say, "Are you okay? Come on, jump in the car." And they're embarrassed about it. It's in so many ways it's the same thing with our parents. And you
Yeah.
want to embarrass them, but you want to protect them as best you can.
Yeah, well said. Well, Mike, Kim, always great to see you. Keep up the great work at parentingagingparents.com. People should certainly check it out. Join the Facebook group, especially if you need some help. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
I appreciate it.
And don't forget to subscribe to our daily newsletter, The Morning Post, for all the news in one place. Details, of course, at our website. And we're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRN. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.